where replacement cost greater than 21. Beautiful. So if I do that, so you can see that nobody is asking me for which columns I want to return. Isn't it? No, did you won't see an SQL incoming with, let's say because your SQL test is not going to be your SQL assignment, rather the assignment is going to be like a test based. Okay, your assignment is going to be like test based, but then the test itself is going to be on a different platform. Okay, you will see how they set the question. They won't ask you to select a particular column or return a particular column. No, they don't ask questions like that. Okay, so select asterisk from film where replacement cost greater than 21. If I run this, it will return the details of the movies and the replacement cost is greater than 21. Isn't it? Now, if they now ask the question in another format, task, let's call this task 6. Now, if they now ask that, okay, we know how many movies we have, isn't it? But this data is cumbersome. Now, what are the what movie titles do we have that cost more than $21 to replace? So now they just need the movie titles. So what is that thing on your query that you change now? So what are you changing? Change film to title. Oh my God. No. Okay, write the query. Let me see how you will answer it. Can you write the query? Let me see how you will answer it. Very good. You change asterisk to title. This time around, you are not selecting all the columns. Just the title column is what's removed. Very good. Okay, so it is not difficult at all. So this is more than. Now, if they say less than, that costs less than, you'll be using less than sign this time around. Okay, so let's just answer this question. Select title from film. Here, replacement costs greater than 21. If I run this will give me just the title of the movies. Okay, so now if we're asked less than, we know how to do less than, isn't it? But if we're asked, okay, the replacement cost is between two numbers. Okay, the replacement cost is between two numbers. Two numbers. All right. Let's say, how many movies do we have? How many movies do we have? Task 7. How many movies do we have that cost between $12, or let's say $15 and $20? Okay, now both inclusive to replace. So how many movies do we have that cost between $15 and $20 to replace? So that range from $15 to $20. How many movies? So what will I do? Select. I can select only the title or all the columns. It doesn't matter, because the query will always return all the records that meets that condition. From film. Where what? Now, the replacement cost should be greater than or equal to $15, meaning it's starting from $15 and above. So I'll say where replacement cost starting from $15, meaning greater than or equal to. If I say greater than, meaning $15 is not included. But if I say greater than or equal to, meaning $15 is included. So greater than or equal to 15, and because I am given a range, so I need to include my and condition. And what? And that same column, replacement cost. If you don't put it like this, it won't work. And replacement cost is also less than equal to 20. I can see some of you writing replacement cost greater than or equal to 15 and 20. No, it won't work that way. Okay? Where this is the first condition and this is the second condition. Okay? Person with the student ID 99, it won't work that way. Okay? This is how it will work. So if you run this, it will give you the movies. So let's select the title and the replacement cost so that you will see that. Do you see that now? Okay? So the movies that will be returned, their replacement cost will be greater than or equal to 15 and less than or equal to 20. Just within this range. Okay? If you say you want to remove that and, let's look at it. You want to remove the and you just do this. Like suggested. If I run this, you see that it gives an error. And if you're not someone that have been working with SQL for a while, you won't understand the error. It's not usually specific. Okay? I should put a comma after 15. Comma. Do you see? Or I should put a comma after 20 as well. Chino. Huh? Or where else do you want me to put comma? Alright? So this is how it would work with the and condition. Because you are testing two You are testing two different criteria, just like in the Excel function. Okay? Just like in the Excel function, you are testing two different criteria. So if you are testing two or more, what do? You use the AND, meaning both conditions must be true. All right? So you can see when I use the AND, I have to specify the name of the column again and give the condition. All right? So this brings us to the next task. Now, if they are doing something like this, okay, you can even use it on text columns as well. If I say select from actor, if I say, okay, select, give me the record where the first name is equal to, let's say the first name is equal to John. Okay? Let me know how many actors do I have bearing John as their first name. So I'm going to give a condition here, first name equal John. Okay? Now, if I run this, I would have an error because it says column, John does not exist. But John is not a column. John is a text. Oh, texts are meant to be in single quotes. Okay, so I will put my John in single quotes. John. I will now highlight and run. Do you see? So this is the only person bearing John as his first name. Okay? What if you want to see the person that is just, you want to see the customers or the actors that have J starting their name? We'll see how to do that. Okay? Now, back to this AND condition. Back to this AND condition. What if I wanted to give I need the movies that cost either $15.99 or let's say okay, no, let me take that approach. Now, between this range, I specify the column twice, isn't it? Now I can do it by specifying the column just once. Okay, this will take me to the next statement, the between operator. Now, the between operator is commonly used to retrieve data that falls within a specified range. It is commonly used with dates, numbers, and text. For example, to retrieve all employees whose hire date is between this and this, you will use the following syntax. Okay? But not only dates, you can use it for numbers as well. You can see that I'm using it with the where clause. So the between operator goes with the where clause. All right? How do we use the between operator? Instead of doing this, I can answer this question in another manner. How? Let me show you. I would say where replacement cost between two numbers. Which numbers are that? Are those 15 and 20. You can see this time around, I did not have to recall the replacement cost column. Isn't it? I didn't have to recall the replacement cost column. So if I do this and I run it, you see that it works. as well. Okay, if I run this, you see that it works as well, but the inclusive is off. No, the between, okay, is inclusive of both numbers. So between 15 and 20, 15 and 20 is also included if you are using the between operator. All right, so that is the between operator. So if you are working with dates as well, let's say you want to work with dates. Let's go to another table. Let's say on the payment table, select asterisk from payments, and I run this. Now I'm having some payment dates, the dates that the payments were made. If I wanted to see payments that were made between, what are the dates I'm having here? Is February. So let's say between 16th of February 2007 and 18th of February 2007. What will I do? I'll start by saying where payment dates between, and then because it is a date, I'll put it in single quotes. So between what? 2007 -02 -16 and 2007 -02 -18. Once I run this, you see that from about 14,000 records, it dropped to 565. So we had just 565 payments made between these following dates. Okay, so that is how you make use of the between operator. All right. Another beautiful operator is the in operator. But before we look at the in operator, okay, let's look at something. Now, if I give you a question, how many movies do we have that cost how many movies do we have that cost, let's say, either that costs 15, 18, or $21 to replace? Okay, it costs either 15 or it's 18 or it's $21 to replace. Okay, can someone help us with a query to answer this? Now, you'll be answering it something similar to this, but instead of and, you'll be using or. Okay, let's say 15.99, because everything is usually 0.99, 18.99 or 21.99. So any of these figures is what we're looking for. So can someone help us with a query to answer that question? Hello. So let's write a query. Whatever it is you can come up with, I think would answer that question. Calista. Calista. Very, very good. Very, very good. Very, very good. HP would have gotten it as well. We are putting numeric values in double quotes. Olukemi, why are you using and? And means both conditions must be met. But here, they must cost exactly 15.99 or 18.99 or 21.99. Okay? Adebi, very, very good. Patricia, I don't know why I'm using between. Because between will include every value between two numbers. Okay? So we're not using between here. Alright? We are being specific with the numbers. So the query is simply, I'm going to copy it from what this person wrote. Select all from film where replacement cost equals 15.99 or replacement cost equals 18.99 or replacement cost equals 21.99. I am being specific about the value of the replacement cost. So if I run this, you will see that on the replacement cost column, there is misspelling here. Or replacement cost. Isn't this the spelling? What's the issue? Coming. Okay, this works. So what's the issue with this? Coming. Okay, if I'm comparing two numbers, where replacement cost equals this or replacement cost equals this, all right, then I should be able to add one more or. I wonder why that isn't working. Equals 21.99. I wonder why it's giving an error. Okay, it's not giving an error again. It's not giving an error again. Okay, so now here, if I go to the replacement cost column, All right. You can see I have 15.99, 18.99, 21.99. Those are the only figures that we have, because I am being specific about the figures I mean. And the or statement will return any of them. Any of them can be true. It does not need both of them to be met. Any of them can be met for it to return the record. You see that? Okay. So now, what if I wanted to maybe like include like two other numbers? Will I be writing or? I can't be doing that, isn't it? So this is where the in operator comes in. So the in operator is commonly used to retrieve data that matches any one of a set of values. It is commonly used with text and numbers. For example, to retrieve all employees whose job title is either manager or director. You can see it is when you have an or condition that you can use the in operator. Okay, so how do you do that? Very easily. You come back here and you say, I saw somebody trying to use, what if you don't repeat the replacement cost and you say, for goodness sake, have you tried it? Try what you are asking. What you are asking, try it out first. There is no better way to learn than to learn on your own. I believe your system is right open there. If you try it out and you see that there's an error, okay, it won't work if you take that approach without repeating the replacement cost. It will only work when you use the in operator. In this case, you say where replacement cost in what? Then you open brackets and give the list of numbers: 15.99, 18.99, 21.99. So if I run this query, it will give me successfully run, and I will still have the same records, all the replacement cost. You can see. So that is the benefit of the in operator over using multiple ors. And that is the benefit of the between operator over using multiple and. Okay? Like this between 15 and 20 now. You can see. You use between instead of this. You use in instead of this. Okay? If I say, okay, give me the names of actors that our first name is either John or Nick or Ed, instead of typing or, you simply say select asterisk from film or from actor where first name in John, Nick, and Ed. Once I run this, do you see that? Do you see that? So the first name, you can see they have different last names, isn't it? But you can see the first name, Nick, Ed, Nick, Ed, John. Do you see that? Okay, so instead of saying where first name equals John, or first name equals Nick, or first name equals Ed, it will work that way as well. But that's a longer query, isn't it? So that is the difference between the and between the or and in. Okay, so I've already talked about limiting query results with limits. Whenever you want to limit query results, okay, your limit should come after you have written your entire code that returns all the data. So if I want to limit this to the first two records now, I won't put limits after actor. I won't put the limits here. No. Okay? It should come after my entire query. Limit would be the last. Limit 2. If I run this, it will return just the first two records. Okay? So limit is usually the last. Alright? So let's look at the like operator and wildcard characters. The like operator and wildcard characters. Now, the like operator is used to retrieve data that matches a specified pattern. Wildcard characters such as asterisk, percentage sign, and underscore can be used to represent any number of characters. Okay? For example, to retrieve all employees whose last name begins with the letter S, you would use the following syntax. Now, very easily, okay, you are still using it with the where clause. Alright? Instead of like, I usually advise people to use I like, because I like is not case sensitive. Okay? So the difference between like and I like is that I like is not case sensitive. Okay, but you use it the same way. Now, let me come back to it. Let's say I want to give a condition that, okay, give me all the first names that start with letter J. All the first, on the actor table, give me all the first names that start with letter J. Select first name from which table? Actor. If I run this, you see this 200 records on the actor table. Good. Now, I want to include a condition that it should start with letter J. I will say where first name I like. I can either use like or I like. Okay, but I prefer using I like for case insensitive. Okay, where first name I like, and then I open double quotes. Type J first, meaning it starts with J, and any number of characters can come after. So it can be JO, can be JA, can be JAN, can be JANE, can be JOHN, can be JOHNSON, can be, meaning any number of characters can come after it. To specify that, I will use the percentage sign. So the first name starts with J and ends with any number of characters. So if I run this, you will see that all the first name that it returns, they start with letter J.
Sir.
Do you see this? A typical question that will come out from this is something like, so we are investigating a particular, let's say you work with the police department, okay? We're investigating a particular crime, okay? Somebody, probably there was a crime where they discovered an ID card. Now that ID card is not, they can't see it completely, okay? But the person is a policeman. He works with the, let's say, a particular division, okay? And his name starts with letter J. How will you look for that man? You need to know all the policemen that start with letter J, isn't it? So they will just ask you a question. Can can we find or can we get the list of policemen whose names start with letter J, or whose first names start with letter J? You see how you can answer the question? Okay? Or let's take another question. I will call it a day. Wow, 8:50. Get the list of customers whose names end with letter E. So, ends with letter E. How do you answer this? Let me see. The person that gets it. So, whose name? First name, or whose first name ends with letter E? Let's see who would get this. So that's the last question for today. So let me prepare to send our what's it called now? Our attendance. So who is answering the question? Remember, I said end with. I did not say start with. End with means any number of characters can form, but it has to be E that will be the last character. Calista, again. You're the first person to get it correctly. HP, instead of single quotes, you use brackets. And for doing, you used E before the percentage sign. So let me even confirm. Calista, you knew SQL before, or is this your first time?
It's not my first time. I have been into programming to some extent.
Okay, all right, that explains it. All right. So the rest of us, Pastor David, why are you sending the same thing HP sent?
It's I was drawing in my area.
All right, so because it is ending with it, okay, because it is ending with it, what I will simply say is where first name I like. Now, this percentage sign means any number of characters. But when I put a particular character after the percentage sign, it means it must end with that character. Okay? So if I run this, you see that it gives me the first name that ends with letter E. Now, because I am using I like, it can work even if I use capital letter E. But if I use just like, and I use capital letter E here, if I run it, it won't return anything because none of them have capital letter E ending it. So like is case sensitive. But if I use I like, it doesn't matter if it's capital or small, it will return it. Okay? So do you see the use of some use cases of SQL? So we'll continue right from here in the next class with sorting query, discuss a bit more about limits. We'll still say one or two things about this because of the underscore. We've not talked about the underscore. Then we'll look at other basic functions, count, distinct, and then some other aggregation functions, some as well. Okay? Before we enter into grouping and filtering data. All right. So, I think you should have your first assignment this week, or let's say next after class on Wednesday. All right, so let me send the attendance now. Before I send the attendance, let me go ahead and save my file by clicking this save icon. Once I click this save icon, that's saved. So I can close my PG admin now without any stress. Okay, so please fill your attendance. Fill your attendance quickly. Fill your attendance quickly. Quickly.